Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Major League Rugby's newest podcast. This is the Big Dawg Podcast, and we are taking you behind the scenes of Chicago's newest pro sports team, Major League Rugby franchise. The Chicago Hounds are here, and James English, the CEO, and Sam Harris, head coach. Every week, they're going to tell you what's going on and bring a player on and have some fun. So let's get into it. This is episode number 2 with Michael Baska.
Welcome to the Big Dogs Podcast. I'm your host, James English. I'm joined by Hounds head coach, Sam Harris.
As always, a pleasure to be here, James. Thanks for having me.
Sam. And Hounds Scrumhalf Michael Baska. Michael, welcome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys having me.
No worries. First podcast? Do a lot of these?
No, not at all.
All right, well, let's go. Let's see how we get on. We're going to kick off with a simple question. Why Chicago?
For me, I came to Chicago. I was just finishing up in France, and it was real late in the recruiting process for the MLR, and with Chicago adding towards the end of the year, worked out really well. I reached out to Bryce and I reached out to you, and you kind of explained to me everything that was going on here in Chicago, and I was really impressed with the coaching staff that had been hired and all the players that have been added and the wonderful facilities behind us. So that being tied in with the Midwest, couldn't ask for anything better.
So you're saying we were the only option left?
Basically.
So yeah, you're in France. How was that?
Yeah,
I heard the
France.
guys talk a lot about you walking around the stadium, speaking in French on the phone very loudly, trying to impress everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess you could say something's going on, something like that. No, but I loved France. I was there for a year. I was in Pro D2 with Rouen, and I loved my time there. Such a good league. It's very physical, but the backing that they have with the fans and everyone in each little small town that's a part of Pro D2 was something special that I'll always cherish, but glad to be back in the MLR and back in the U.S.
I caught Baska the other day. He, as you said, he was just walking around talking French very well, but mind you, he's almost fluent, I would say. But he was talking away, and then his phone rang. He must have forgot to put it on silent. He wasn't talking to anybody. Yeah.
And that's quite a culture difference going from Utah to France and then to Chicago. Like, how's that been?
Oh, it was good. I've dealt with a little bit of the French before for a few years. And then, so it was an easy transition knowing quite a bit of French people. So when I was over there, I already spoke a little bit of French, but it's just nice to be back in America with good, wholesome Midwestern people.
Where are you from originally?
Kansas City, Kansas.
And you played since high school, or?
Yes, I started playing when I was a sophomore in high school. Tim Klumpers was my head coach, old USA Eagle prop. He got me into the game, and then went to Arkansas State, and then from there Lindenwood. And then right after Lindenwood, I went into the MLR.
And what were you like multi-sport athlete? Did you do a lot before rugby or just straight into rugby?
Yeah, I played basketball and football, but I could either choose between football or rugby, and I chose the latter.
I've seen you playing basketball with Mark O'Keefe, and it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, so I chose the right sport, I would say.
Well, he looked like LeBron James compared to Mark, so yeah, it's hard to get a read.
Yeah, absolutely. And so tell us, how's it been back in Chicago? You're back in the MLR, a year out. I've done a few interviews, and I've picked you out a few times as a player to watch. I think that you've probably got a point to prove coming back and show people what you're about. How does that feel? How's it going? What's motivating you at the moment?
My biggest motivation right now is just being a part of a new club, being a part of a new organization. You know, I really want to prove myself that we are one of the top teams in the league. And another motivation is I missed out on the USA World Cup qualifier teams. And, I want to get back playing for the Eagles, and that's a big motivational factor for me, is proving myself that I am one of the top players on one of the top teams in the MLR, and that the Hounds belong at the top, and I belong at the top as well.
Yeah, I think when I initially spoke to Michael, it was, that was front of mind for him to push his way back into that team and show them what they were missing out on, and perhaps the piece that they were missing to qualify for the World Cup. So I love working with players that have that type of aspiration. Obviously, he's been there before, really good player. But I think just that intrinsic motivation to achieve something like that pushes someone a little bit harder.
How old are you now?
29.
So there's still some rugby left in the old legs.
Plenty.
I hope so.
Yeah, I got plenty left. Don't worry about that.
And the door's back open, I guess. You know, like a lot of change at USA Rugby, the disappointment of not qualifying, tough as an American rugby fan and as an American, like growing up with rugby and an American player, that must have been tough to watch and to not be part of that. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, definitely. I was sitting at my parents' house watching the game, just kind of in bits. Like, you know, when you're not playing, all you want to be able to do is just have a little bit of control. But when everything's out of your hands, it makes it that much tougher. But I think moving forward with this next 5-year plan that I have and what USA Rugby has, I think it'll make it that much more special, being the team that does make the World Cup in this next cycle, coming from a team that didn't make the World Cup. So for me, it's bittersweet, but when we do make the World Cup in this next World Cup cycle, it'll mean even that much more.
What was your biggest takeaway from your France experience, from a playing point of view?
From a playing point of view, it's a 30-game season, so it's real long, and your best ability is availability. But other than that, it's just becoming a more physical player, and being really strong on defense and learning the game and knowing how to make an impact at the halfback position, because most halfbacks kind of sit back and orchestrate, and in France, a lot of halfbacks have a big impact on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I guess that's led from Dupont's game, isn't it? So he's kind of leading the way there and everybody's jumping on board. But, yeah, I felt like we got that out of you against Utah. Had a great game, probably our best player, you and Julian. And you were displaying those types of defensive habits, which was great. You know, you got the Defensive Player of the Year, the week award. Got a...
What do you get for that?
An unreal Chicago Bears helmet. Thank you very much. Chicago Bears helmet with Whitey was week 1, and then I'm week 3 on the back and
that's pretty
engraved
cool.
in it. So yeah, it's definitely.
Did I see you wearing another helmet recently?
Yeah, Dawg helmet.
A Dawg helmet. What was that for?
Unfortunately, I found myself being late to a meeting and kind of just snowballed on from there, bringing in treats, not bringing in treats. Now I have a Dawg helmet, and now the Dawg helmet's off, luckily. So it's been passed on to our good friend Billy Meeks now for this next week. So look forward to seeing him rocking around the stadium with it.
Well, quite the turnaround going from that to Defensive Player of the Week. And it's funny, we talked about you in our last podcast, and we talked about what a big player you could be for us and what a big opportunity it was to go against your old team and against Utah. Obviously, we didn't. It wasn't the result we wanted. Step in the right direction, probably performance-wise. Like Sam, first of all, what were your thoughts on the game?
Brutal, physical, desperate. It wasn't pretty, and it was a little bit ugly in parts. But I think there's a lot for us as a group to build on in terms of how we perform from a defensive point of view and shutting down Utah's threats for the most part of the game, and then from an attacking point of view, and a game strategy point of view, we did everything we needed to win the game. We just couldn't put the ball down over the line or kick it through the post enough. So, we'll take a fair few learnings away, but we did enough to win that game. We just didn't get it done, and so I think with time, as I continue to say, and I might sound like a broken record, but as the weeks go on and we develop the relationships and build the trust and we'll learn how people work, we'll be a much stronger team for that performance on the weekend.
I mean, the difference between watching that DC game to the Utah from a defensive point of view was night and day, right? You're playing against a team that don't score a huge amount of points, who found it, probably a little bit easy for us in that first game to playing a team that liked to score a lot of points and throw the ball around and really contain them for, probably 80%, 85% of that game. How did you feel about the game on the whole?
Oh, like Coach said, I think our defense was stellar. We executed everything we wanted to on attack-wise other than just getting points. We entered it there 14 times. So we're getting the looks that we want to get. It's just executing that last 10% that'll take us from a mediocre team to a high level top tier team. So I think the boys took a lot of confidence out of the game, and we can tell we're moving in the right direction, and we have a lot of belief in coaches playing defensively and Clancy's playing on attack, and now the only thing left to do moving into this week versus Toronto is just finish that last 10% and, like Coach said, get the ball across the line and get points on the board.
What was the atmosphere here like? First ever professional Chicago-based team playing at home at SeaGeek Stadium. How was the event? What was the what was the energy like?
I think Bobby said it during the week. It's just like a dream come true, being someone from the Midwest, being able to play here on a professional rugby team near our home. And now Chicago is our home, and to have the crowd that we had, almost 5,000 people, extremely excited and really backing the boys. It was a bit of a dream come true, to be honest.
They were noisy.
Yeah, and they were like really treading the line of kind of being too much, but I love that.
It's very Chicago, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, I love that, and I endorse that, and I think it can be something original to Chicago that, whilst teams will hate coming here because of our crowd and because of the physicality and the defence potentially, and hopefully going away with losses because we put so many points on them, but that crowd who were just so parochial and so loud and so, like as I said, kind of teetering on too much, I'd love us to maintain that identity and just keep going with it.
As someone who's been working behind the scenes, doing a lot of the work to put in and make game day so special and make it what it was, what were your thoughts?
It's a really proud moment, to see that many people come out and get behind us. And like you said, I spoke to the referee after the game, who refereed the game in San Diego with 11,400 and whatever it was, and he said it was louder here on Sunday than it was in that game. And that it's going to be a big part of our identity and who we are, I think. Chicago is a big sports town, and yes, it's going to be cold, but I think that the fans are hardy. They're going to work through that. They're going to come out and they're going to make this hopefully a really difficult place to play. So look, it was a fantastic moment to hear those bagpipes come out, and then the team behind them was a real hairs on the back of your neck moment. And then to see kind of 5,000 people, or just under 5,000, really give Utah a hard time for 80 minutes and really kind of almost be that 16th man on the field was phenomenal. So hopefully we'll see more of that moving forward.
Yeah, James and I went out after we had the team meeting. James and I went out to the tailgates and just thanked them for being here and for thanking them for the support and hope they enjoy the show. And it was a crazy atmosphere out there too. Like I was jealous that I didn't have a sausage in hand and a beer in the other. But it looked like they were having a great time and they were getting ready. We tried to do something similar in Austin, but it didn't have the traction as it did here. Like there was, 40 different tailgates here. Just people getting amongst it and, really building or laying a platform to build a vibe week, our first home game. But, those people start bringing friends and family members and, those tailgates morph into other tailgates, and like all that makes this experience unique. And, again, like I think if we can create something that's unique, and James, you did a great job. It was a monumentous job to put that game day together because, again, like the squad, you had a short runway, you didn't have much time to do it with a skeleton crew of staff, and I thought you guys did a great job.
You know what's great about it, I think, is that short runway meant we didn't spend 12 months trying to create a persona or create a character around what Chicago rugby would be. We were just like, let's just get it off the ground, put on a good core product and see what happens. And what we found there was like very clearly like a very organic feel to the Chicago Hound fans and that fandom and that fan experience that was really created by the fans themselves. It was pretty, it's pretty electrifying at times out there.
What was the band's name?
Flatfoot 56. They went off.
They were rocking as well.
There were guys up there. There's a lot of people up there dancing at 11:30 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Celtic punk. Who would have known that would be so massive in Chicago? But it's a big scene apparently.
Yep. I was about to do the team meeting, and people got a bit carried away. And just before I was about to start, I got a text from Ashy sending me a video of the band. He was up there dancing, and I'm looking at it, go, "Hey, we've got a team meeting. I'm about to start. You're meant to be here, but you're up there." But yeah, I think he apologised after, and it wasn't really a big deal, but it was. There was a lot going on, and it was well received by the public.
Well, let's hope we can maintain that. And obviously, like in a similar way, there's been a lot of guys been brought together from different places it has been a short runway. You probably haven't had the time that other teams have had to get to know each other and to bond. How's that been like? What's that experience been like for you?
I think it's probably my favorite thing about sports is you get people from different backgrounds, they're from different countries, different races, different religions. You don't really get that in like the normal corporate world or just like in the world in general. So it's really, really cool to see all of us come together that are so different and have so many, like I said, so many different backgrounds, and kind of mesh real quickly and all come together around this common goal that we have. And the boys have been kind of really meshing within these last 2 weeks now that we're on the field and we're all, shedding blood, sweat, and tears together. It's brought us together really closely, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Any interesting characters in the group?
Where do I start? I don't know. I'll let you take that away.
I only get to see them on a day-to-day, and I only get to get the surface level conversations that they're willing to have with me, but you're in amongst it, so I think you should lead off here.
I think you can just, we all know off the get-go is the right-hand man, Mark O'Keefe himself.
He gets a lot of airtime, doesn't he, Mark?
Yeah, he gets a lot of airtime. He gets a lot of TV time, but no, he's good. Him and the addition of Julian, like it's been awesome. All the guys that live together in the apartments, they've all become really close, and yeah, it's just been a blast getting to know everyone.
I'm intrigued by last year. There was in Austin, there was a bromance between Julian and Mark, and then Julian got here late. This year, there's been a bromance with yourself and Mark. So, is there any friction there between you and Julian over Mark, or is it all simpatico and you guys are okay?
No, now we're the three amigos. Cruising through Chicago. So
yeah,
watch out, Chicago.
Yeah, watch out, Chicago.
Lock up your daughters.
So what are your main goals for this year? Like what's going to keep you going? What excites you about this year?
What excites me is just being a part of something brand new. I joined the MLR when I was playing for New Orleans year one, and I really enjoyed the aspect of being a part of something brand new and building something from the ground level up, not just on the field, but in the community as well, as you and I have spoke about. And so off the field, I really just want to grow the game of rugby and get people underneath the umbrella of the Chicago Hounds and being able to get high-class coaching, being able to be part of a professional organization and being able to receive the resources that are Tier 1. And like I said, just being able to be in the community. But on the field, Coach and I have spoke about it a little bit, but just having a bit of a chip on the shoulder and proving to the MLR that Chicago is a top-tier team, and that for myself that I am a top-tier player. And, luckily, because of you and the coaching staff putting faith in me to be able to be the halfback for this season, just lucky to be here and be able to have that opportunity.
You talked about top tier resources being something that's important to you and your development and a club and like moving forward. You're someone who's been in MLR since year one.
Yeah.
Since year one, you've seen a lot of change. You played at New Orleans first on a high school field.
Yeah.
And grass. I remember that from New York. It wasn't the best.
No.
And you're now in a 20,000 seater stadium in an MLS quality facility. What's that change been like to see that over such quick period of time?
Oh, it's incredible. When I was at Lindenwood University, I never thought I'd be playing in a stadium like this, being able to be coached by Sam and such high-level coaching staff and be able to get their knowledge and be able to progress my game at the same rate that the league has progressed. So going from playing in a high school stadium where the 15-meter channels were sand spray painted green to being able to play in a 20,000-seat stadium and being able to be coached by high-level coaches is, it's more than I ever one could have imagined and to hope for. It's been amazing. It's been a blessing.
Aspirations of playing for the US again?
Yeah, of course. Like I said, I'd love to be in this upcoming summer test series, but my long-term goal is to be in the next World Cup. And if I don't want to have any regrets moving forward, that's always been my goal since day one, is to play in a World Cup, and I don't want to stop until that goal is checked off the
Sam, what's it like having a player like Baska here, who has been in the MLR for so long? He's seen different environments. He's worked with different coaches. He's worked with many players. He's been abroad as well. What's that influence like on the team, and does that have much impact?
Yeah, it does for sure. I think Michael's a player that kind of lives and breathes rugby and professionalism, and making sure he ticks all the boxes through the week. That puts him in the best place for the performance on the weekend, and I love that from an individual point of view that you display that and you model that for our other players, not just our other halfbacks. That experience and wealth of knowledge is key. I think so many players, like obviously there's the God-given physical abilities, the natural abilities, but then there's that experience piece, and you really are a combination of your experience, and the more high-level experience you have, it should convert into more high-level performances you have. So, I think Michael brings that to the group, and it's been really good to have it. But then on the flip side of that, Michael's never come across like he's here and everybody else is here. He's very humble, but also very hardworking. He's probably in the coach's room more than any other player, and always trying to become a better player. So everybody knows and everybody says the journey's never over. You're always trying to become better, but Baska's living and breathing it.
Yeah, and I've watched you train. You work really hard. You're always in the top end of the fitness tests, but you like to party harder here as well.
Not in my past, but when I was over in France, yes. But I've turned a new leaf after the DC game. I said that wasn't good enough. That's not our standard. This isn't our standard. So
that's good to hear. And what I would say is, like, you're someone who sees the opportunity in rugby in America. Like, you're not you don't want to just go out there, play, and then go home. You must have come to me now 3 or 4 times about being involved in what our academy looks like, and you've got a lot of experience around that with what you did with Utah, and really genuinely want to contribute this to being a success. And they're the sort of players that we want to bring in here. For this to work, we need to have people to buy in, and it feels though for me that you really buy into American rugby and you want to see it develop, not just for yourself, but for the good of the game as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, being an American, someone reached out to me, like I was telling you, Tim Klumper's my high school coach, and then I want to be that person for someone, like just to introduce them to rugby and like give them an opportunity to not only be a professional rugby player, but see the world and give them opportunities to go to college and play rugby beyond. So for me, I just want to be the person that introduces people to the game and gives them opportunities.
Sam, how important is that for players? Is that important for everyone? Leaders?
Yeah, I think people operate on different levels and are motivated by different factors, and I think that's something that really motivates Baska, which I love, and never going to be critical of someone that has that. But we have a few of those guys in this group. Martina's another one that's a huge advocate for that, and Bryce is captain and he's got a lot of high level responsibilities, but he's always willing to do that as well, and has that in the forefront of his mind. So I think, and then there's people like Charlie Abel, who is a foreigner, but he also, he wants to work on his craft as a coach, but also really wants to develop youth and kind of marry those two things up. So he gets exposed to young kids and introduces them to this great game. So there's a lot of great ambassadors within this team. But I don't see it as a prerequisite for selection or when I'm looking at the characters that I want to bring in, for sure.
So, Michael, let's ask you a few questions about the group.
Yep.
Quick fire.
Shoot. Yeah.
All right.
Go 1 for 1.
1 for 1. Worst dressed?
Luke Carty.
Best dressed? Besides yourself?
Billy Meeks.
Yeah. Can we tell the story about pre-game?
Yeah. So before the game.
Sorry, pre-match.
Pre-match. Yeah. Before the game, we get, after the post-match, it's joggers, polos, pre-game, wear whatever you want. So I'm thinking, best dressed. I'm putting on my ones. We're about to come into the stadium, look good, play good, live, pay good, live good, die good. I mean, That's how I live by. So I was like, I'm going to start looking good before I play good. And lo and behold, I'm the only person.
I did notice.
Who
You
was
look like
wearing-
something from New Kids on the Block.
Oh, yeah, all the boys looked at me like, did you sleep last night? What did you do last night? I was like, no. I'm just wearing my best, my ones.
But you know what I like about is, and we're digressing from the topic there slightly, but I think that's, it's not a bad thing. You talk a lot about being authentic and having a culture where people can be themselves and put themselves out there, and it's kind of, that's very much what you're trying to do there, right?
Yeah, I think which coaches created an environment where you can be unconditionally yourself, I think it makes the locker room that much better. And when the locker room is, everyone being unconditionally themselves and feeling comfortable and feeling that they can operate without having to put on a facade or change who they are for the team or for individuals or even for coach, that allows them to play at their best when, they're unconditionally themselves.
Sorry, back to rapid fire.
Who would you least like to be stuck in an elevator with?
Sam Perry.
That's a good one. Who would you want to back you up in a bar fight?
Charlie Abel.
Who would you not want to fight on the field?
Dakota.
Army.
Yeah.
What opposition player would you not like to fight on the field?
Julian Dominguez.
Well, he's a teammate.
Where's on your team?
He's a teammate.
On
on the other side.
Sayu Hila.
Yeah.
Fastest in the squad?
Strummy.
Slowest in the squad.
You can answer that one.
Fittest?
Strummy.
Yeah. Grubbiest player in the team.
Sam Perry.
Sam gets a tough time on this.
He does.
We talked about Sam a lot in our last podcast. He's been. I feel like Sam's a bit of a fan favourite. I was up in the we were up in the premium lounge after the game when all the teams kind of come together and eat and hang out. And there was a queue of three kids all waiting to get Sam's autograph. I don't know if that was just because he's tall or he's got long hair or what, but
A little bit of both.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, Baska, I appreciate you coming on. It's great to hear your kind of inside thoughts on where we're at and where we're going. As we look forward, obviously DC onto Utah. We now look at Toronto coming up in a few days' time. What's the prep been like? What's the feeling in the team? And what are your thoughts on Toronto?
Yeah, for the past couple of days, we've just been digressing the match versus Chicago, and we kind of been coming up with our keys here for Toronto after watching the match, and our prep for Toronto is the last 2 days. I don't know if Coach can back me up here. Have been really good. We had one of our best back sessions of the year, and we had a really great session yesterday. When we went into our team session, and we seemed to be flying, and we're just fixing up those last little 10% that will get us across the line and get the points, because we're right there. All we have to do is execute, and I feel like the last 2 days we've got a lot of clarity on what exactly we need to do to execute the last 10%.
Yeah, today's day 3 after the game, which is the day off for the players, and traditionally you probably wouldn't train the day after the game and probably wouldn't come into the facility, but with a 6-day turnaround, plus the fact that we had an early kickoff and we were coming off a bye, we did come in on the next day and knock out our review and our preview of Toronto. And we also took the opportunity to train later, give the guys a little bit more rest, come in, train under the lights to get used to that. And I thought that was a really productive clarity session as well, at the same time being enjoyable.
Yeah, it was nice to see the field and the stadium underneath the lights. I think for all of us, that was the first time we had seen the field under the lights. And have you seen it?
I haven't, no. Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a pretty special atmosphere. We've got fireworks. We've got a firework display just before kickoff. We have a St. Patrick's theme night, so I think it's going to be it's a special weekend in Chicago, and I think it's going to be a special evening here. I mean, obviously Toronto haven't had the best start to the season either. Is that an opportunity or a threat?
It's a tough one. They're coming off a bye as well. I think we play a few teams that are coming off a bye, and sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. I think from Toronto's point of view, you lose 2 in a row like we lost against DC. You never really want to go into a bye like that, and it can be quite pivotal for your season what course you take, because you can be there after 2 losses and go, no, we're trending in the right areas, we just need to keep believing in what we're practicing, or do we take this opportunity to make changes, and are they for the better? So it'll be interesting to see what Toronto team rocks up. They're a bit of a disruptor team, got very high line speed, they're pretty unorthodox, they do things a little bit differently, so they're a bit of a wild card and hard to plan for, so we'll see what we get on.
How important is it to get a win, Michael?
It's extremely important, I think with a win comes a lot of things, a lot of confidence, and a belief in what we are putting out on the field is working. Even with a loss, there's a lot of learning lessons and you still have a lot of belief, but it just gives you a little bit of sense of confidence and it gives you a morale boost. And listen, there's nobody wants to win more than the guys that we have in the squad right now, the locker room, the coaching staff, yourself in the front office, and going into the game Saturday night, us as players want to do nothing more than put our bodies on the line to get that win.
Yeah, I think just from a coaching point of view, it just gives us some breathing room more than anything. We know we're a good team, we know that, but we haven't got the result yet. So if we can do that when we do that on Saturday night, it gives everybody just a second to just take a breath out and kind of just work into the season.
I'm going to call it. I think it's going to be a good win for the boys. I think this, we've seen gradual improvement. There's definitely a feeling of confidence in the team. I think after the weekend, I think there's a few guys with a chip on their shoulder and a point to prove. Second game in the stadium in Chicago. Yeah, I believe in you guys. I've got confidence that you're going to pull off a W, and I'll sit here in the next one and have to eat humble pie if it doesn't come off. But I'm willing to back you.
Yep. From your point, James, what's the scuttlebutt been back from the league or from social media? How are you guys feeling after that?
Seems to be great. People seem to have really enjoyed the event. The buzz is great. The league seemed pretty happy. We had the new CEO of the league, Nick Benson, here. We had the new ownership group from Miami here as well, up with us, as well as kind of our own ownership group. Everyone was kind of curious as to what our first home game was going to be like. As with everything else, indicative of what we've been through for the last 4 months, it hasn't been easy and it's been a whirlwind. At times smoke and mirrors, as all rugby in this country can be. But what we did is we put on, from a customer facing point of view, was a really good experience, and I think people enjoyed it. From the tailgate to the band playing on the concourse to the in-stadium experience.
The dog delivering the match ball.
The dog delivering the match ball seemed to be a highlight. I mean, it's funny, what we've got, you spend a lot of time thinking about social media and what to put on it, and yet we post a picture of a dog and everyone goes wild for it. So maybe we're overthinking it at times, but it seemed to be a great, I really enjoyed it, and I think the players did, apart from the result, and the fans seemed to, and everyone from a management point of view was pretty happy, and I think it gives us a really good solid base to build on. There's obviously things that we can do better. We sold a ton of merch, which was just we were blown away by what we sold, So we're looking forward to week 2 and seeing how we can keep building. We've got 5 home games on the road. They're only going to get better.
Yeah. I think something that did get mentioned was the after-match function where, again, that was a big success, with a meal for the players from both sides, a bit of a speech from you and myself and Bryce, and I thought that was really well done as well. So, whilst we didn't get the W, I thought there were a lot of good things put in place.
And just from a player's point of view, being here from year 1 to now year 6, just the smoothness of a game day operation and how much you guys have made it easy for us as players just to be able to focus on rugby and have our full attention to playing the best rugby we can and putting the best product out on the field from year 1 to what it is now, and with the short window that you guys had, it was really impressive.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we've always talked about, myself and Sam, is this has never been easy, but if it's easy, anyone can do it. And we don't want to make excuses. We knew what we were getting into when we decided to do this on a short runway. We talk about the short runway a lot, but we're here and we're running events and it's going down well, and the W's are going to start coming. and I really believe this is a group, a team, and a staff that could do something really cool this year and very special. So we just have to keep marching forward, right?
Yeah, I think all we can do is our best, and I think that's what everybody that is here has done. And I thought that was reflected in the match day experience and the performance from the players. Otherwise, albeit that we didn't get the result.
Right, well, let's hopefully next time we're sitting here with another player, it'll be a different type of conversation, and we'll be talking about what went really well and the W that we got. But listen, Michael, thank you so much for joining us on your day off as well. We appreciate it. Next time, if you'd wear a shirt that fits, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I'll try, and we'll get a win. So
that's it. And Sam, again, thanks for giving us your time. This is the Big Dog Podcast. Come and join us as we play Toronto this week at SeaGeek Stadium on Saturday night.